who's coming new, but if you've heard it before, unfortunately, because of the home audience, I'm going to go through these instructions. You're going to have to hear this after time tonight. But it's going to look a lot like the first session we had this evening. Are we running?
We're good,
Okay.
yes.
Good evening and welcome. My name is Mike Boehm. I'm the former mayor of the city of Lenexa. I've been watching the growth of DeSoto from afar or near, however you want to look at Lenexa from the last, I mentioned earlier, my entire life. I think you were all here to do that. So we, as a child, we came over to the elevator and the meat market and Kroger's, and so Lenexa. Actually, I had more ties back to DeSoto as a childhood than I did Lenexa, where I moved to after college. So on behalf of the DeSoto Chamber and the Johnson County Public Policy Council, thank you for joining us today. The Johnson County Public Policy Council is comprised of 10 chambers of commerce serving Johnson County and the Greater Kansas City Chamber of Commerce, and they have helped us develop today's questions focusing on business and community issues. We'll start with brief 2-minute opening statements by each candidate, followed by a Q&A, where candidates will have 1 minute to answer the question. At the close of the Q&A, each candidate will have a 2-minute opportunity to make a closing statement. Due to time constraints, there will be no follow-up questions, formal rebuttal time, or audience participation. Please note the candidate's speaking order has been determined before the forum began and will rotate throughout the program. So now we'll start with the opening statements by each candidate. You get 2 minutes each, and we're going to start this first one in alphabetical order. If you would just give us a little background and tell us why you are the best qualified of the 4 of you running for 2 seats, as I understand it, to serve on the DeSoto City Council. We will start with alphabetical by last name, Zack Bradley.
Hi, I'm Zack Bradley. I'm not from here. I chose to come here because of DeSoto and the environment. As someone said earlier in one of the other forums, it's not the small town feel, it's the community feel here. It's the education here, and it's the people here that drew us here. I've lived here about 8 years with my family. My wife Abby, who's in the audience. We've been married 21 years. 5 of the happiest years of my life. No, I'm just kidding. It would not be possible for me to be here without her support and support of my family. Our 2 sons, Adam and Noah, go to DeSoto High School. They're a freshman and junior. We have 3 dogs who should be going to obedience school but don't. I grew up near Memphis, Tennessee. We lived in a trailer for a little while when I was a kid, just the 3 of us, my mom and dad. I enlisted in the Army. I served in Bosnia, Iraq, Afghanistan. Earned a combat medical badge as a combat medic in Iraq. Earned it again, even though you can't receive it again in Afghanistan. I've been a federal employee for the last 15 years, roughly. I'm an emergency management specialist, hazmat technician. I've been a volunteer firefighter, EMT. I've been a deputy sheriff. I like to hunt, fish, scuba dive, and fly. And one of the reasons I think I'm the best is because of my life experience and my training and experience in emergency management, bringing people of various socioeconomic and demographic periods and places together across generations and across barriers. And I think those help me to bridge the gaps between the people that live here and the people that are coming here. And I think that my emergency management experience across a broad breadth of fields has allowed me the experience to be successful as a candidate and as a person that you can talk to about anything. And I'm willing to listen and debate if you want, any topic you'd like.
Zack, thank you. Jim Doscher.
Good evening, I'm Jim Doscher. I moved to DeSoto in 2016 from Austin, Texas to be closer to family. In 2011, I was fortunate enough to semi-retire, and at that time I started volunteering at various agencies in Austin, Meals on Wheels of Central Texas, Livestrong Foundation, and others. Since arriving in DeSoto, I have continued my volunteering with Meals on Wheels, Catch a Ride program, and I'm currently on the Park and Rec Board, which I was appointed to by Mayor Walker in 2020. That's pretty much it.
Jim, thank you. Mark Gulley.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mark Gulley Jr., and I'm proud to be running for DeSoto City Council. My family has lived in DeSoto for generations, and this community has always been home to me. I've worked for the City of DeSoto in the Parks and Recreation Department for several years seasonally, up until the end of just this last summer. I also served in the Kansas Army National Guard, and these experiences have really taught me the value of service, teamwork, and accountability. Lessons I'll carry with me if elected. Working for the city really gave me a firsthand look at how things really operate day to day, the good work being done, and also where leadership could do better. That perspective is something most people don't get to see, and it's what really inspired me to step forward and run. I'm running because I believe DeSoto deserves leadership that listens, plans ahead, and remembers who we're here to serve. I'll never forget that it's your money being spent, not numbers on a page, but the result of your hard work and sacrifice. My goal is simple: to keep DeSoto growing responsibly, spending wisely, and staying true to the people and values that make this place home.
Mark, thank you. And finally, Joe Sabo.
Yes, thank you. That's a lot to go up against right there.
Yeah.
Good evening, my name's Joe Sabo. I've had the privilege of calling DeSoto home for the past 10 years, along with my biggest supporter, my wife, Kristen. We recently also celebrated our 20th anniversary, and like so many of you, we chose to call DeSoto home because it was a great place to raise a family and invest in our future. Our youngest daughter just graduated last year from DHS, and we're proud to have watched her grow up surrounded by the strength of this community. 4 years ago, we convinced our oldest daughter and her husband to move here as well for those very same values we found. And now we're getting to raise 2 grandchildren here. And we're getting to see the next generation of our family experience the same small town values and sense of belonging that drew us here. Professionally, I've been with my company as a North American director for the last 25 years. This role has given me a valuable experience in leadership, budgeting, and strategic decision making. Those same skills are what I hope to bring to a seat on DeSoto City Council. In addition to my career, I've directed and devoted the past 4 years to serving as a co-chair with the DeSoto Days Committee, helping grow it into one of Johnson County's best small town festivals. I think you'd all agree. That experience has reminded me in this time that what makes DeSoto special is our people, our pride, and our shared willingness to roll up our sleeves and make it happen. I want to thank the DeSoto Chamber of Commerce, the EDC for hosting tonight's forum. Most of all, I want to thank the citizens of DeSoto that have come out in support of all of us this evening. Your participation and your vote are vital to what keeps DeSoto strong. Please remember to exercise your right to vote on November the 4th.
Thank you all for providing some background and your why for running for office. We'll start the Q&A here shortly. Again, 1-minute responses each. First question will go to Jim Doscher. As a candidate, what are your top 3 policy issues that you see ahead of you in the council?
My top 3 policy issues would be, number 1, the infrastructure improvements. We need to get on 83rd Street, Lexington corridor right away. The city council recently approved hiring somebody to apply for grants. That needs to be enacted and go after it while we can. Kill Creek needs to be improved as well as 95th Street. Second would be improving our park system. Go ahead and adding to the trail system to where all parts of DeSoto are connected. And third, maintaining the small town community feel by having events downtown and citizen participation.
Thank you, Jim. I have Joe in the rotation next.
Did I mess up?
Somehow I'm out of order, but let's go ahead and go with,
No, it's Mark.
let's go with Mark because we're rolling down. I'm sorry. Maybe I drew a line too soon. My apologies.
My top 3 priorities are responsible growth, fiscal responsibility, and hometown values. I'll get into each of those points. First, responsible growth. Obviously, DeSoto is changing very quickly, and we didn't make sure that the growth benefits the people who live here first. Development should strengthen our infrastructure and community, not overwhelm it or drive up taxes for existing residents. Second, fiscal responsibility. I'll work to keep taxes low, cut unnecessary spending, and make sure that every dollar is used where it actually helps residents. DeSoto deserves a government that's transparent, efficient, and accountable with taxpayer money. And finally, hometown values. Protecting what makes this community special, strong neighborhoods, safe streets, and family values that keep DeSoto the kind of place that people want to live, raise kids, and stay for generations.
Thank you, Mark. Joe?
Are we sure?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I made a mistake. First one this year.
That's all right. My 3 big points would be, look, we have to have progress, but it needs to be purposeful. That includes our infrastructure along with our way of life. Our services here in town need to stay reliable, and the largest part of that are our arteries in and out of town. We need to keep being proactive with our growth studies and put our plans in motion so that our improvements keep pace with the future. Along with that comes several new housing pressures, growth that could easily sprawl and overwhelm our community's rural charm. We need to adopt and incentivize zoning that protects farmland and our green space while encouraging our infill downtown. Keep DeSoto on a human scale. Keep it walkable and accessible. Last, communication. Our city leadership from the top down needs to be open, and we need to be available and transparent, and that starts at the council level. We need to be available, and as you can see, if you've been on our In and Around Facebook page, we don't always agree, but we can and should have conversations which bring meaningful discussion to work solutions.
Thank you, Joe. Zach?
Okay, top 3. Communications and transparency seems to be a common theme here. And I will say that the city has been very good about creating a lot of good data sheets on things. Ones that look like this you may have seen. This one's for the Panasonic, which is one for the data center. Very good communications. I think they could be a little more timely. I understand non-disclosure agreements and the need to protect incoming investments from those corporate competitors. However, I think it'd be okay for us to say we're looking at a type of business which needs these things: large power, large water. So that needs to be a little more timely, I think, than a couple of days before a meeting. I think the capital improvement planning and infrastructure and critical and key resources suffer from delayed and deferred maintenance for years, from no one's fault in the city, but a lack of budget. That's being corrected. I think we need a new community center. As I mentioned earlier, I have teenage sons who would love to use the community center, but it closes at 5 p.m. And lastly, I'd like to balance the needs of all the citizens, both corporate and residential, while maintaining the community feel that we have and what drew us here to begin with.
Thank you, Zach. Second question, we will start with Mark. What are your views on the value DeSoto citizens receive for their local tax dollars?
Yeah, so I think DeSoto provides many important services that really matter to residents and do a good job, from Parks and Recreation to Public Works, utilities. A lot of people in those departments work hard, genuinely care about this community and provide good service to residents. At the same time, something I've heard from residents is feel like they're not always seeing a clear value for what they pay, whether it's communications, spending priorities, or how projects are handled. There's room to improve transparency and efficiency. I believe every tax dollar should be used responsibly in ways people can actually see and feel in their daily lives. That means focusing on core services, being upfront about cost, and making sure spending stays aligned with community needs. As council member, I'll work to strengthen accountability, improve transparency, and ensure residents get real value for their dollar.
Thank you, Mark. Joe?
I'd like to start out by saying, first, our public safety must always be our top priority. I think our residents get great value for the taxes that they pay, but I also think that our current city leadership has done a good job with the incoming taxes and funds from our recent business growth to help reduce the taxes that we do pay. I also believe that's a vision that we need to keep moving forward with, and we need, with available franchise fees, and things coming in from whether it's Panasonic or the target we have on our back for other business. We need to continue putting the residents first.
Thank you, Joe. And Zach?
Well, I think that our city gets a pretty good value for a lot of things, like our service from the Johnson County Sheriff's Office, which I think is a phenomenal value if you look at the cost of establishing and running our own police department at this time. Now, one day we will have to, but that day is not today. I think we get great value from Northwest Consolidated Fire District, but that's not necessarily a city service. I think that there's a few things we don't get great value on, like the roundabout that was built and was so much fun for everyone to discuss. It was undersized. The original plan called for a double lane roundabout all the way around, and that's not what we got. That's going to have to be rebuilt sooner rather than later. I think we could more efficiently and effectively utilize our taxes to benefit our citizens by properly analyzing and planning services and projects. Not that that hasn't been done, but that's got to be a focus going forward. I think that the value we get is directly impacted by the way the city spends the money and how it interacts with our residents to determine what they need. And so we've got to have resident input on that more than what we have now.
And Jim?
Okay, I feel that the city is providing excellent service for the amount of money that they are spending. Look at our snow removal. Look at potholes being filled on a timely basis. You drive around any other city in this area, they don't compare. Our Parks Department is improving significantly. We just need to keep it going. We need to keep our tax rate low, but keep improving our basic services.
Thank you, Jim. The next question, what changes, if any, would you propose to the city budget? And we'll start with Joe.
Changes I would consider to the city budget: excessive incentives for private development. There's no need to over-subsidize projects right now, as we have that target on our back. Companies are already choosing us for our strategic location, our other businesses, and our available workforce. Let's identify our non-essentials, identify non-functional aesthetic upgrades, separate our nice-to-haves from the need-to-haves. But we need to pay attention to our infrastructure and our utilities. That includes our roads, water, sewer, and power. A few of those being, I'll mention our water. We have, in parts of DeSoto, we still have 2- and 4-inch water lines that are in need of repair. Third, we need to focus on our housing and community development. We need a wide range of housing options that are attainable for our working families and our young homeowners. We need to stay connected through our sidewalks, our trails, and our public spaces. And finally, I would put emphasis on our planning, zoning, and our code enforcement.
Thank you, Joe. Zach?
To change the city budget, I would like to see an increase in the availability of city services. I mentioned earlier the community center idea. You know, if you weren't aware, our DeSoto High School swim team has to go to an Olathe Middle School to practice swimming, which is sort of unforgivable with the amount of money that's now coming in to help do that. I would like to see a joint city-owned, contractor-operated facility funded by both the school board and the city. And I think something like the YMCA with the sliding scale income membership plan would be great for everyone in the city. I'd also like to see us increase our CIP budget to remediate problems while they're small and manageable before they become huge and expensive. We've done a pretty good job, but also there's some room for improvement, like the grading and repaving on Corliss that was less than satisfactory. And I think that that's something that we can look at improving.
Thank you, Zach. Jim?
I would like to use our incentives to attract more economical, lower price developments. There is a development currently going in Tonganoxie that I toured the other day Homes are starting at 270,000. This is what we need to attract for DeSoto. As far as the rest of our budget, I think it's fine.
Thank you. Mark?
I believe DeSoto's budget could be tightened across the board. I think the city has grown its spending faster than necessary. You should take a really hard look at every line item and cut that doesn't directly serve taxpayers. Things like excessive consulting contracts, unnecessary administrative costs, and projects that don't really have a clear benefit to the community. My goal would be to reduce the overall size of the budget as much as possible without hurting essential services like public works, utilities, parks and rec, the things that residents actually are going to use every day and see. I think it's time to treat every dollar like it came out of our own pockets on the council. And as a council member, if elected, I would work to cut waste, shrink overhead, and keep taxes low.
Thank you, Mark. Our fourth question: over the past few years, the city of DeSoto's development has outpaced many Johnson County communities. How would you help continue high-quality growth in DeSoto, and what role do you believe, if any, the city plays in economic development, bringing jobs and capital investment to the city? And we'll start with Zack.
So a couple of things. I think the city has done a great job in attracting business by controlling zoning and incentivization. I think there's some room for improvement in the incentives. But I think the main goal of the city is to create an environment in which the Economic Development Council and Chamber of Commerce can do what they're supposed to be doing, which is retaining and recruiting new business. That's, to me, not as much of the role of the city council as it is the EDC and chamber. I think, again, to emphasize, the role of the council and the city is to create an environment in which those organizations can prosper and succeed while balancing the needs of all the citizens and maintaining what we have now.
Thank you, Zack. Jim?
Use incentives to entice the proper developments. That's what the city needs to be doing.
Mark?
I believe the city's role in economic development should be measured, fair, and rooted in free market principles. The city's job is to create the kind of environment where businesses choose to invest in DeSoto because it makes sense, not because of handouts or special deals. The city shouldn't be taking on entrepreneurial risk or forgoing tax revenue to benefit private companies. It's not our job for a business to ensure that a business succeeds, makes a profit, or even exists. That responsibility belongs to the businesses themselves, not taxpayers. What the city can do is focus on what government can do best, local government, maintain good infrastructure that attracts businesses, provide efficient services, and keep regulations predictable. This allows for a healthy free market in DeSoto to do what it does best, create jobs, drive investment, and reward hard work.
Thank you, Mark. And Joe?
I believe the city of DeSoto should play an active role, but a balanced one in our economic development. We don't need to compete with private enterprise, and our role is to create the right conditions for businesses to succeed, for the new investment to take root, all while protecting the character of our small town. That means investments in our infrastructure, keeping our policies clear and concise, and making sure growth benefits the people who already call DeSoto home. It means supporting our local business and the ones that have already taken a chance on DeSoto. They deserve fewer barriers, more resources, and city leadership that listens. Our focus should be on quality job creation, not quantity. Jobs which can help families build their future here, and be responsible, sustainable investments that strengthen our tax base.
Thank you, Joe. Our fifth question, we'll start with Jim. As the city considers future development and redevelopment projects, describe your views on how the city should best manage and balance growth.
I've already stated I believe we need to entice lower cost housing developments. If the employees at a Panasonic or Merck or wherever are making $70,000 a year, we need to have housing that will fit that budget. We don't necessarily want the employees to have to travel out of town to work here. I would like to see tiny homes be included in some developments. I think a tiny home is a fantastic first home for some people, and also a great alternative for seniors wanting to downsize.
Thank you, Joe. Mark?
Yeah, so growth is obviously here in DeSoto, whether we like it or not. How we handle it really shapes the outcome, what our city's gonna look like for decades to come. I believe in smart, steady growth that really improves life for the people who already live here. Before improving these new projects, we really need to take a look at if our roads, utilities, schools can handle them. Growth should also pay for itself, like I said earlier, and not fall back on taxpayers. I think that residents deserve a real voice in the process. People should know what's being planned and how it'll affect their neighborhood before the fact, not after the fact, and have a chance to get feedback before decisions are made.
Thank you, Mark. Joe?
Sure, thank you. I would like to focus on our affordable housing. As a city, we need to be proactive in keeping DeSoto accessible for all residents, not just those that can afford the top market prices. That starts by encouraging developers of our large projects to set aside portions of homes in areas that are at affordable price points. This approach can be called inclusionary zoning, but it helps ensure that our growth benefits everyone and not just a select few. We need to promote those developments that include smaller single-story homes, whether it's senior apartments, assisted living options, and they need to be reasonable. That way, we're supporting our younger families that want to get started here and our older residents who want to stay in DeSoto and downsize or retire. We should continue and expand our property tax relief programs for seniors on fixed incomes, because our affordable housing isn't just about new buyers. It's about helping our longtime residents that call here home.
Thank you, Joe. And finally, Zach?
So I think the city's primary job in future development, redevelopment, is to balance the needs of all of its citizens, both corporate and residential. You know, if we have insufficient business tax base, then all of the costs of infrastructure, redevelopment, improvement fall squarely on those of us who pay taxes here as residents. And if we have nothing but industry, we end up being an industrial city nobody wants to live in. We can't have one extreme or the other. We have to balance that. I think tax incentives and zoning being really the one-trick pony that the city has have to be better communicated with our citizenry. The way incentives are used currently, none of us are on the hook for anything that happens currently, but we could be in the future. The but-for principle applies here. If it was not for the growth, we would not have anything to take tax from. So to say that we are paying for it with our taxes is not accurate. They are paying for it with their taxes, and we are receiving the benefits.
Thank you, Zach. Question 6, and we'll start with Mark on this. What is your philosophy on the role that the city should play in terms of the metropolitan issues?
Yeah, I absolutely believe that DeSoto should have a seat at the table on metro area issues. We should always make decisions through the lens of what's best for our community, not just going along with what other communities are necessarily doing. Regional cooperation can be very valuable when it comes to things like transportation, water, resources, emergency management, housing. But at the same time, we can't really let DeSoto, we have to be careful to not let its needs get overshadowed by bigger cities or county politics. My philosophy on this is pretty simple: work with others, but make sure we stay independent.
Thank you, Mark. Joe?
Sure. We're no longer a small community that's outside of reach of Kansas City, and we should be at the same table as all the other communities. At the same time, we need to collaborate with our neighboring communities and share their ideas for growth and how to maintain and keep their residents long-term.
Thank you. Zach?
So whether we want to be or not, we're part of the Kansas City Metropolitan Statistical Area. That means that we have to be represented, or the objectives of the local cities beyond our borders will overtake our own. I currently serve on several committees of the Mid-America Regional Council through my work. I'm on the World Cup 26 Planning Committee, and I can tell you that if we aren't represented there, we will not benefit from the things that are being done there. I know the mayor mentioned that he has participated in several, the current mayor has participated in several MARC committees, and I'm sure that he would agree that it's invaluable that we maintain our commitment to participating in our regional partnerships. Again, I think that's vital as a member of our metropolitan statistical area to continue to represent our own interests and be our own advocate for our city.
Thank you, Jack. And Jim?
We are part of Kansas City. We need to realize that with the development that has been going on with Panasonic and various other organizations, the focus is going to be more and more on our community. We need to stay engaged, we need to become a part of it, and in the long run, all of us will benefit.
Thank you. Question 7, we'll start with Joe. What do you think are the 3 greatest opportunities or challenges for the DeSoto economy in the next 10 years? And how would you capitalize on those or address those challenges and opportunities?
First of all, our infrastructure capacity and resilience. As I mentioned, we have several issues with our roads, water, sewer, and power systems that are going to need to keep up with the growth. And we need to remain proactive, not reactive. Planning ahead and modernizing what's already here and coordinating with our regional partners so our development supports our future. Design and connectability.
Thank you. Zach?
So over the next 10 years, there's a few things that I think are great challenges to our community. That's our infrastructure, unsustainable property tax rates from other taxing jurisdictions, and unmanaged growth. I think we've talked already a little bit about how we manage growth, a little bit about infrastructure, and to be fair, the unsustainable property tax rates aren't something that we can control as a city council. But what we can do is provide tax relief where possible, especially for those on fixed incomes that have chosen to live and retire in our community and make it what has made it, and make it what it is today. I would ensure the city master plan, but especially that of Southwest growth area, balances current resident needs and desires with that of future growth. I think that responsible growth is what we need. And I think that to fix the problems of recovering from delayed and deferred infrastructure maintenance will prevent future problems and serve the city well for the next 10 years.
Thank you, Zach. And Jim?
Infrastructure is number 1. We have got to improve our road system. Number 2, I would say walkability of the city. We need to improve our trail system so where all citizens of DeSoto will have access to our parks and to our downtown area. And finally, we need to use franchise fees to continue lowering our property taxes and continue to improve our quality of life.
Thank you, Zim. We're almost to the end already, believe it or not. Our candidates' closing statements will allow 2 minutes each for your presentations. Again, please be sure to highlight what distinguishes you from your opponents in the race and making sure to tell us why you believe you are the best candidate for the position. And we will start with Zach.
Thank you. First of all, in closing, I want to thank you all for participating in this forum. It is vital that our citizens participate in all forms of government, and this is one of them. I think that one of the things that I can offer is a very pragmatic and practical approach to governance. I think that my experience is somewhat unique amongst the candidates. I mentioned earlier some of the various roles I've had in my public service over the last 25 years and how I think that I can serve this community. I'm not going to disparage or talk down about any of the candidates up here, but I will talk about myself. I'm not perfect, but I think I'm one of the best choices you've got. And I think that in saying that, I can acknowledge the things that the city, if elected, the city does well and the city needs to improve. And I don't want you to feel that you're making a choice of least worst. I am probably one of the best qualified candidates you'll find for this position. Thank you very much for being considerate of all of our time and in participating in government in this forum again. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Zach. Jim?
Number one, I want to thank my fellow candidates. This has been a pleasure being on the same stage as you. You have conducted this election with integrity, small town feel, and I feel that after this is over with, all of us can continue to work with one another, and I appreciate that. What distinguishes me from everyone else is I am retired. I am fortunate enough not to have to work. I have plenty of time that I can devote to the citizens of DeSoto. I plan on having town halls at least once a month at Cause Coffee the first Saturday of every month for a cuss and discuss. Fellow council members can join me and we'll solve the problems together. I also, whether I win or lose, I have won in a way. In our neighborhood, there are 17 homes. 7 of those homes have my sign in front of it. 3 others have expressed interest in supporting me in my campaign. So I have already won. We all love this town. We want to keep this town as it is. And I thank you for your time and your consideration.
Jim, thank you. Mark?
Yeah, first I would just say also, I truly believe the other candidates in this race care a lot about DeSoto and have the best of intentions. And we may disagree on how we approach things a little bit differently, but I respect anyone that's willing to run because there's a lot that does go into it. What kind of gives me unique qualifications is my hands-on experience working for the city of DeSoto in the Parks and Rec Department for several years and up until recently. This really gave me an inside look at how the city operates day to day and how decisions made by the council directly are affecting residents, staff, and city services. Also, I'm a lifelong DeSoto resident, and my family has called this community home for many generations. I've seen firsthand what makes this city special and where we can do better. This combination of local experience, public service, and deep community roots kind of gives me a perspective that's hard to find, I believe. And that's why I'm ready to serve and put DeSoto families first.
Thank you, Mark. Joe?
I'm running because I believe in supporting local, and that's just not business, that's our residents. The values that make DeSoto special. Our businesses may have helped build this community, but they deserve every chance to compete and thrive here just like its people. I may not have grown up here, but my family has grown up here. And I believe you can still be for here if you're not from here. As we continue to grow, our infrastructure has to stay ahead of our growth. And I want to keep DeSoto a place where young people want to build their future, where families thrive, and where our older generations are proud to stay and retire. In my current role, I manage $30 million in assets. I've learned the importance of accountability, efficiency, and good decision-making. All things I'll bring to the council table as a local property taxpayer. I don't need this position, I want it. I want to help bring this community together and make sure DeSoto continues to stand out for the right reasons. On election day, I'm just asking for your support and your vote to help a strong, united, and forward-looking future for DeSoto. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. This concludes our forum of the DeSoto City Council Candidate Forum. I'd ask you to join me in thanking our candidates for attending tonight and being willing to put their name out there on the line. It's a tough decision, and winners will be had by all, frankly. I've learned a lot more about DeSoto tonight, and I think all your candidates that I've listened to tonight you're in good hands, folks. On behalf of the DeSoto Chamber of Commerce, the Johnson County Public Policy Council, thank you to everyone for taking advantage of this opportunity to learn about the candidates. For information about the candidates, videos of these and other candidate forums, Advanced voting details, please visit www.votejoco.com, and please share that information with your voters and your neighbors and colleagues at work. And finally, again, on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce, thank you for attending. Have a good night.
Thank you.